Hello, hello, and welcome to the first live stream of New Edge Sword and Sorcery Novellas, the fall crowdfund for this year for Brackenbury Books. We're gonna just have me doing the thing where I waffle for a little bit at the start to give people a chance to come on in through the door already. Someone's sounding off in the chat, bless you. Hello, Javier. Hello, Mabooscast. All right, awesome. All right, people are coming in. This is great. I'm very excited, very happy. We are just now 3 hours in, and we have nearly 100 backers. We're at 96. We're almost at $6,000. We're at something like 38% funded, and we only launched at 4 p.m. because, hello. Oh, there we go. 4 p.m. because we are taking part in something called Printopia, which is a backer kit, website-wide cross-promo thing where myself and a whole bunch of other people doing book projects are all launching at the same time, running for the same period for 3 weeks from 4 p.m. EST Tuesday today, September 9th, through to 4 p.m. EST Tuesday, September 30th. We will be having overtime, so hopefully we'll go a little past 4 and maybe get another stretch goal or something like we have done the last couple of times. We'll see what happens. It's super early, but it feels good. Yeah, we're doing a set of 4 novellas, 4 Sword and Sorcery novellas, all by authors that have been in New Edge Sword and Sorcery magazine or will be later this year when the new issues come out in November. Who do we have, folks? Well, let me have a look at the page here just to remind myself because I'm so excited. I'm having brain problems. We have What Rough Beast, A Tale of Goatskin by Bryn Hammond, a standalone follow-up to her half of Double-Edged Sword and Sorcery last year, Wasteflowers. You do not have to read the previous book to enjoy this one, but doesn't hurt. We have The Barbarian at Dream's End, a kind of science fantasy riff thing that we'll probably talk a little bit more about tonight because of what this live stream is, which I'll get to in a sec. That's by Steve Hugh Westenra, who you'll see in issue, I'm going to say 5, maybe 6 of Vanessa this year. We have Suplex and Sorcery, A Tale of Arica, which is a kind of very fun, funny, light sort of, wrestling, obviously, and sword and sorcery crossover thing by June Orchid Parker. Which June started pitching that to me, and I was like, yes, we're doing it, yes. And to round out our quartet, we have The Hunt of 1,000 Leagues, the new Orhan Teamer, The Snow Leopard Tale from Daryl R.A. Keogh. Similar to Bryn's story, it is a standalone follow-up to his half of Double-Edged Sword and Sorcery from last year, our 2 novellas in 1 book thing, his half being called The Walls of Shur Yulun. You don't have to read it to enjoy this new one, but couldn't hurt. So now I'm going to click back to the right tab here. I'm really excited. You can see in the little overlay thing we've got going on here that tonight we'll be doing something new. I've not done this for crowdfund before, but wanted to do it for a long time, which is we're going to be spending some time with one of our feature artists, which is Matthew Spencer, who has done the cover art for Steve's book, The Barbarian at Dream's End, and has bravely agreed to be our guinea pig for our first ever art stream / interview live stream for Brackenbury Books crowdfund. So I'll be bringing him onto stage in a second, and then pretty quickly making him full screen so you can see, best you can, what he is working on tonight while I chat with him. You are very much encouraged to throw questions out in the chat or comments, and I'll share those on the screen as it makes sense to do so, and ask questions as it makes sense to do so. So yeah, my private hope, we'll see if it comes true, is that by the time this is over in about an hour at 8 o'clock EST, we will maybe have hit 100 backers. Could be nice. I'll get so excited my voice will go up. Anyway, but the ravages of puberty leave no one unscathed. A little quote from my friend Ryan. Let's get Matt on stage. Hello, Matt.
Hello.
Thank you. Again, I know you just heard me say all that because you were in our digital green room, but again, thank you so much for being the art stream guinea pig of Brackenbury Books.
You are so super welcome. Happy to be
here. Now,
here's
the real science experiment. I should have tested this before we launched, but I was enjoying chatting with you. My personal life, I'm a people person. Let's see if we can make you bigger on the screen.
Oh.
Okay. Because there's all these different layouts. So it's like, oh nope, that made me bigger. Oh, that made me even bigger. How are you?
We'll get it sorted out, I'm sure.
What? There we go. No, okay, maybe this.
Oh.
Folks, I really should have figured this out beforehand. What I can do, if I put myself in the green room, then nobody can hear me. Oh no.
You know what?
And then how do
I'm just
how do I
glad that you're there doing that, and I can just
yeah, can I
focus
just
on.
like grab me and like move me? Like, nope. Oh, nuts. All right, folks. Well, I'm gonna see what I can. I know there's a way to do this. I know there's a way to do this, and I should have figured it out beforehand. If anyone is a genius with StreamYard, please let me know. But I think solo layout, surely, but wrong solo. Yeah. Okay. So okay, we're gonna do this for now. Because I know not what else to do. But if I can figure it out, oh, maybe.
Oh,
No, see, this is like for a third screen that we don't have going on. Like if you and I want to like MST3K it, to a movie, I guess that's what would be. And this is similar but slightly different. Whatever. All right, let's just do this. And oh nope, I guess it's full screening for me. Okay. Oh, somebody says in the chat, I think when Richie took up half the screen looked best. All right, let's give that a shot then, because yeah, we don't need the busy background, as lovely as it is. Yeah, okay, yeah, we can see all but like the absolute top left 1% of your paper. Yeah, there we go.
Slide that
Okay, and
over.
and as the color comes in, it'll be a little more visible. Yeah. All right. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Birdlick in the chat. Please. So, Matthew, here we are. I guess let's get to know you a little bit before we go into any deeper questions. Because you and I have chatted a bunch. We've collaborated. Well, I've hired you. I don't know if collaborate's the right word. I've hired you a few times in the past. Possibly, you came in there right with issue number 2 of New Age Sword and Sorcery to illustrate June Orchid Parker's story, which was itself a kind of last-minute addition that I was very happy to make. And then you've been in the magazine every year since. This will be your 3rd year as an interior illustrator. And I was very happy to bring you on board for some cover work, because you do beautiful color art for this book, which I think I first mentioned the concept to you last spring.
Yeah, right? It was a while ago that this has been in the works for.
Yeah, because I mean, Steve won't mind me saying this because we've talked about this and stuff, but like I sort of came up with the basic concept, and then very quickly was like, first of all, when am I going to write this? I'm so busy publishing, and also, let's be real, that's up there. But also, for reasons I won't get into because they're kind of spoilery, it didn't feel like a story that I should be the one to write. And so I was like, okay, well, and I went out there, and there's a whole story of me, finding Steve and commissioning him, and us figuring out things on the author side. But around the same time, I knew right away, I was like, I want Matt to do the cover for this. I want Matt to do the cover for this. So I reached out to you just to kind of like be like, would this be of interest? And I think it's safe to say you were pretty intrigued from jump.
Oh yeah, from the get-go.
Pitch document. Yeah. I sent you the concept so you could get an idea of like what it is. So, beyond me just excitedly DMing you, and so and then you just very patiently waited because it took a minute. I mean, welcome to publishing, right? Like, but I think it's going to work out. Like I say, we're at 38%, 3 hours in. Not a bad start. Not a bad start. Yeah, I'm not complaining. And also, I always think of like very long term because we're still such a young publishing company. At that point, I had the idea. We hadn't crowdfunded any books, and we'd only got out like issues 1 and 2 of the magazine. So I was like, can we do this? And still felt like I needed to like lay foundations. Like last fall, we crowdfunded Double-Edged Sword and Sorcery, and that was very much me thinking ahead to right now, this very moment, because I was like, okay, 2 novellas, 1 book. That's an affordable way to kind of like get 2 books out for the price of 1, so to speak. And then that'll help us build more excitement of novellas, towards ideally doing a crowdfund of a bunch of novellas. And now here we are, 4 novellas, one of which you're doing that wonderful cover for. Now, could you please tell our audience here who it is you are drawing?
So I earlier today I sketched this little portrait out of how would you describe her? Because she's not like
a co-protagonist.
Yeah, a joint protagonist. Her name is Sam, and I've had this kind of very clear image of her since since you got back in touch with me about this project recently, and so she
Yes,
does
should have
appear
said.
on the cover. Yeah.
You have had a hand in character design. I should. Sorry, I want to give you credit for credit is due.
Oh no,
So, the design of some of the characters you see on the cover has been kind of like a collaborative chat between Matt, myself, and Steve. And Steve was very generous as a writer. Was like, oh, sure, I'm open to hearing how Matt's vision is of these characters. Just let me know so I can write that in. Not give the character the wrong color hair or whatever.
Thank you, Steve.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely you took some reference photos from Steve, more for the barbarian character, the similarly named Sam, for his armor and stuff, and some ideas like the Radiohead people. But I believe Sam was very much. You came up with the freckles and things. You tell me. So why don't you tell the story? Sorry.
Oh no, it's just I don't know. There's something about that rambunctious late 70s, early 80s sort of the archetypal tomboy character. I don't know. I guess I relate I relate a little bit with because growing up, that was kind of I don't know. I fit into that stereotype a little bit, but I don't know. I just got this flash of an image for her as soon as I read the description. I was like, okay, this is cool. I don't have the little sketch I did on hand, but
right on. And
maybe,
am I correct? I think the lightning bolt came from Steve. But
yes, the lightning bolt came from Steve,
shirt, which I thought was very smart.
Yeah, which was your idea for how to kind of join my idea and Steve's idea was pretty sweet, if I may say so myself. But you'll have to read the book to find that out.
Everybody. And I will say, actually, folks, if you go to the main page of the crowdfunding and scroll down a bit, this is not too spoilery, because if you scroll down the main page and you go to the section that says the stories, there are short summaries of the basic idea of each book. But I recorded little YouTube videos, each of just with a thumbnail, not my face the whole time, of my reading the first chapter of each book, including the first chapter of this one, which does let the lightning bolt has some significance. It's it's on a shirt that Sam has had made for her by her folks. She loves it because it's the symbol of her favorite action figure hero, basically. So it's her. It symbolizes adventure and whatnot, which so that's sort of where the lightning bolt comes in. It's what sort of where Sam takes thoughts of bravery and adventure from via her favorite TV show and action figure. So I love that you're working into the backdrop there, and the green, of course, has been a real color. Could you tell us a bit about how? I didn't tell you what the color scheme was for the cover. I didn't say make it dominant blue and this other stuff. So what was your thinking about that part of the process? How did you go with the color scheme that we ended up with?
So I knew let's see. I'm getting it out so that I can refresh my memory.
No problem.
Yeah, so I in all the art that we kind of, or at least in the art that you initially brought up as potential inspiration, and then that I went and collaged a bunch of for my own sort of reference file for this project. Some of my favorite parts of it was just the bright saturated colors, and I work with a wide range of colors pretty often, but there are some like that purple in the Sorceress and the sky on the cover that I kind of use as an accent throughout, that I don't really get to use that often, and so that was part of my rationale in adding it. I was like, okay, this is an established sort of element of the genre we're working with.
Right.
Let's
purple,
go.
Purple tends to be kind of mystical and strange.
And then
Yeah.
the blue sky, I had done a few, like a smattering of colors, like digital color studies, before I took it to paint. And I know that you mentioned that you liked the blue because it is the first book in the series and it feels like new beginnings and a fresh start to adventure. So that worked out really nicely.
Yeah, and like for those who are wondering, a lot of the visual reference that I threw at Matt was like the Den series from the Heavy Metal comics, also somewhat the animated version of it from the Heavy Metal movie. There was also a lot of like Earl Norem He-Man, which is just core memories for me, just absolutely core memories. And also, you can't do too wrong if you're illustrating like Pulp and or SFF by looking at Earl Norem in general. He's an incredible artist. I strongly recommend everybody check out. And then there were also covers to a series of books which are not good, but they're fun. They're very fun. They're by an author named Lynn Carter. They're the World's End series. You can tell there's a bit of a nod to that in the title of the book, The Barbarian at Dream's End, which I say they're not good up front, almost like shamefully, which I shouldn't do. You know, there's no such thing as guilty pleasures. There's just things you like. But I feel that need nonetheless to indulge in that weakness of the guilty pleasure commentary because they're just outrageous, imaginative, silly science fantasy stories with curious stabs at humor, but like these great fun painted covers. And I think I included at least one or two in the pitch doc I sent you. So that was in the mix as well. He-Man, Heavy Metal / Den, and the World's End series. Was there anything beyond the stuff I threw at you that you checked out in terms of like looking for inspiration or color and design?
Let me open up my reference file here and jog my memory.
Sure. Or like anything that just came to mind, like yeah.
Gosh. Yeah, I ended up grabbing a whole bunch of He-Man stuff, just like promotional stuff, even from like the toys and like the toy line and everything.
And
the
toy line has lots of great art.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like I have a whole collage page of He-Man painting specifically.
Love it.
And that was just a lot of fun to have on my monitor while I was working, just to keep me in the right headspace.
No, Matt, I'm sorry if this is a rude question, but may I ask, roughly how old are you?
Oh, I'm 33.
Okay, so you're like 10 years younger than me. So because like nostalgia and kind of love for like a sort of smeary late 70s through 80s, kind of thing, is definitely part of this project for reasons I don't want to be spoilery about it. And I mean, I'm even kind of mining a little before, my core memories kind of thing. Like, I mean, I was born in 82, I'm 43. And so, I even by the time I was playing with He-Man, it was kind of almost in reruns, I think. So it is kind of funny how often we're nostalgic for like 5 minutes before we were around. Do you know what I mean? I sometimes blame that on the fact that I grew up in rural Canada before the internet. And so it took a minute for things to like catch up. Sure, it was 88 when I was 6 and forming some of my early memories, but a lot of the village I grew up in still looked like the 70s.
Oh my gosh,
a lot of people had still had the same furniture, and cars and stuff. So I wonder sometimes about that, and I think that's an interesting thing to ponder. But I guess what I'm saying is, by asking you your age, what is your relationship to some of that, like that era and its material? Like, did you encounter any of that growing up in like the 90s and 2000s, or is it kind of this interesting curio, the way that maybe the 60s was to me?
It was definitely, like, it's really funny because this has sort of been like a fresh exploration for me, because when I was, younger, like the things that I have nostalgia for are like, I was super into Lord of the Rings as a kid.
Right on.
And before the live action movies came out, I watched the the animated.
The Rankin Bass,
The
films from
Rankin
like
Bass, The
the
Hobbit,
70s,
the Bashki. Is it Bakshi?
Oh, Ralph Bakshi,
Ralph Bakshi, thank you. The animated Lord of the Rings movie, and so like a lot of my love for fantasy in general, like I have nostalgia for things that were definitely before my time, but I experienced with a whole lot of love growing up because my dad was also a huge nerd. So
yeah.
like, so I've not got any like actual childhood memories of things, like He-Man, for example, because that wasn't really in my realm of experience at the time.
Yeah, you would have grown up in like the dead zone between the original
Mhm.
stuff and reruns and the like, remake that they've done in the last few years with like Kevin
Yep.
Smith and other people being involved. So that's kind of interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's fun to kind of like like visit these elements that a lot of people love so much, and especially now as like we're getting reboots and stuff, and just kind of find a bunch of inspiration in things that I didn't really have much experience with before.
Yeah. And I mean, it happens all
Yeah.
the time in the arts, right?
Oh,
There's
yeah.
stuff I've written where I've been like thinking very hard on literature from the 30s or,
Yeah.
or previous centuries to that even. But I guess it's just something about it when it's like close but no cigar, when it's not you, but it's like 5 minutes before you. It's a kind of, I don't know, like I say, for me, it's almost a liminal thing.
Yeah.
But yeah. And the reboots and everything, like it's very much my generation being catered to right now. But we'll fall out of fashion, and then it'll be yours. It's funny. I like getting to enjoy new interpretations of the stuff that I loved as a kid. I also sometimes wonder about like, is it taking up too much oxygen from new stuff? But that's a whole other
Oh,
thing.
sure, yeah.
But I mean, some of these things, like this is the thing. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on with this book, and more than the other three in the quartet. I would say there's heavy themes of nostalgia, but also there's a little more mystery. So I don't want to. I have to step carefully discussing it here. I'll just say, yeah. Like the time, the setting of it being like, again, this is in the first chapter read, so it's not a spoiler. It's like 1979 when we land in with Sam, and then she's about to go off on an adventure with her action figures. And the general look of the cover and stuff, like, come back to all that reference we just mentioned, is sort of like science fantasy of the late 70s, early 80s. So it's kind of like the aesthetic of the fantastic is mirroring the period of the real that Sam is in. And I think that's a lot of fun. And it's a big part of the book, but I'm realizing I can't say more without spoiling it. So I'll just say this. Like, I, as a publisher, think about this a lot with Sword and Sorcery because it's fun to invoke and learn from the classics, but we can't only live in the past, right? We've got to have like one eye maybe looking back and one eye looking forward. Otherwise, I don't know how much to give me a break from flapping my gums here. Jeez Louise, this is supposed to be an interview. So okay, whatever. I'm talking about the stuff that was core to me. What was core to you when you were growing up, and like in the sense of art, and what made you like? Were you always drawing, or did you at one point go, "Hey, hang on, I'm going to try this," and then it took over? Like, what was really core stuff with art and becoming an artist?
I was very lucky to like. I started off drawing really young, and I got nothing but support from my like parents and extended family. Like my mom was a teacher, and my dad has always been like a computer guy. He worked in IT back when it was Microsoft, and it was the 90s, and computers were the next big thing.
Yeah.
But so like they always really fostered my creativity, and my grandparents, like when my grandparents would babysit me and my sister, both of my grandmothers would draw with me. We'd do drawing games. I was just drawing anytime I could get, really. But like I think a lot of my love for illustration and especially fantasy illustration, it does come from the fact that like my dad was a nerd. My mom always read children's books to us, like lusciously, like lavishly illustrated children's books. And then my dad made sure that like I read his old copies of the Lord of the Rings, like just beat up like copies from I think probably the 70s. And then like my childhood, I don't know, like all that art in with the kids books and surrounding Lord of the Rings in particular is also gorgeous. Like I look back at it today and I'm like, okay, yeah, I can see where, like, why I am the way that I am. There's, let's see, the fact that let me it's hard to formulate sentences while I'm painting. I'm discovering
No, I know
this
you're trying
about
to work
myself.
at the same time. I mean, with some of it, maybe I wish I knew more of the different artists who did sort of classic Lord of the Rings illustrations. I mean, keeping SNS, Frank Frazetta comes to mind.
Mm-hmm.
He did
God, yeah.
Lord of the Rings stuff. Have you checked that out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, Frazetta, I came late to because my parents weren't okay. So Frazetta, he paints a sexy figure, right? My parents weren't super into
the kids.
they weren't super into that aspect of anything. So I got sheltered a lot. I was sheltered from a lot of stuff. But slipping away from visual art and towards music, I will say my parents, like when we drove on, like when we had car rides, from a very, very young age, I remember listening to the Conan the Barbarian soundtrack on cassette tape because my parents had recorded it on cassette tape, and we just would like that was. I remember making like inventing my own stories with that as the soundtrack, like as a kid, and it was years and years until I actually saw the movie.
It would be probably.
So
I had those parents that for some reason that we watched like RoboCop when I was 5, but not everybody has those parents.
Now I will say I did see Terminator at a very young age, and so did my sister, who's 3 years younger than me, and she was scarred for a few years, but I never minded that sort of thing. But no,
well, it's funny. I mean, tell me if you have a story like this, because for me, real quick, I got to see RoboCop like blowing dudes apart. I got to see Friday the 13th. I got to see The Blob, the remake in the 80s. It was very gory.
Oh my god!
A whole bunch of nasty stuff, right? Before, well before it was quote unquote age appropriate. But you know what gave me nightmares? It was watching. It must have been on tape because I wasn't born that early. The original Ghostbusters with Slimer.
Oh my gosh, dude! That's so funny.
The green, I guess he's the chubby guy.
Yeah.
Who who just wants to eat hamburgers and he'll at worst cover you in goo. Doesn't kill anybody or whatever. He's not like the demon dogs at the end of the movie.
Right.
But he was the one that just like freaked me out, and I would have nightmares. And my parents because I want all the Ghostbusters action figures, so they got me Egon and so forth. But they innocently also got me a Slimer that was about the size of my head, and
oh my god,
they kept finding it like buried in the backyard, or they'd find it in the microwave but not turned on, and they just keep returning it to my bed, being like, "Oh, he lost his Slimer," and I'd be like, "Ah, he came back, he came back."
That's amazing.
That's what scared me. While the next day I'm watching, Jason or Friday the 13th Impaled his ninth teenager the hour. Did you find you were not bothered by the things you quote unquote should have been, and then there was something like Slimer, or how'd that go for you?
Oh man, that's such a good question. Well, it's less related to pop culture, but I was terrified of black holes for the longest time. Like I would stay awake at night because I had read, some kid's science book that talked about how black holes worked, and I would just lay awake in bed thinking about the universe being sucked into a black hole, And that was
Fair.
what scared me, rather than like I don't know any of the like I don't know Legend or I don't know what the scariest movie that I saw as a kid was, but I don't know. Yeah, even
Yeah.
Ghostbusters. But yeah,
Oh,
just
got a question from the
interesting.
chat
Oh,
for you. Now, I think I know the answer, but this is not for me. Is this watercolor or acrylic?
this is watercolor.
Is that like your preferred medium, or how does that go?
Yes, it is. And I'm just so glad that I get so many opportunities to work with it these days, because all through college I was pretty much told that nobody uses watercolor illustration anymore. So I'm so happy that I've, sort of carved out an ability to use my chosen medium pretty much
Why? Now, what
whenever I
was the
want.
rationale? Because I'm always amused by that kind of thing. Like, nobody writes this anymore. Nobody listens to that anymore. This is dead. That's dead.
I don't
What was the
know.
rationale you were given for why nobody uses watercolor anymore?
I have
Or is that
no
just
idea. I
that was
think
where
I
it
think
began
it's
and
just
ended?
yeah, I think it's just people being out of touch, or not wanting students to get their hopes up about some way the industry isn't, or something. Who knows?
I mean, I
But
guess it can be
it's
well-meaning, but I just always think of it as a kind of snobbery or self-centeredness, where they're like, "Well,
yeah.
my taste is this, and therefore, you know." I
Yeah.
always remember. Sorry, one.
Oh yeah, no, I think there's a certain point where it's like every teacher has their own personal bias, because like multiples of my teachers were their favorite uh medium was acrylic. And it's funny because like they all used acrylic in different ways, and it's like, why can't I use watercolor my way and make it work for me?
I'm very sorry. I'm listening to you, but
Oh god.
my phone lit up and now it's playing the live stream back to us. I'm going to close that window
Oh.
because I was getting an alert from someone that we have just crossed 100 backers, and in fact we're
Oh
now
my
at
gosh.
101 backers. So that's awesome. I was hoping to hit that by 8 o'clock, and it's
Wow.
we're only halfway through the interview.
Dang.
$6,223 from 101 backers. Thank you so much, everybody. I would figure out what that is in percentages, but I'd have to do some math, and I'd be ignoring everyone, and that seems rude for a live stream. But yeah, woohoo! That's great. All right. But yeah, now as you say, teachers do have their preferences, and I always remember a screenwriting course I took where the first day we had to bring in, like in advance of the class, we would send the opening like scene or two scenes to the teacher, and they would read them. And then we would bring printouts for everybody in the class, and it was like like 20 people, and we would discuss it, right? And I remember being flabbergasted because we were going around this like U shape of desks of the students, and it got to me, and I'd written this like I don't know thing with two detectives where by the end of the opening scene that I did, the older detective betrays and kills his partner. Sure, whatever. And the teacher comes to me and he says, "Now, Oliver, this older detective, who then I guess goes on to be your protagonist, he seems very unlikable. Why would I want to watch a movie about a guy I don't like?" And I heard that, and I innocently thought this was like a challenge to like justify my creative decisions. And so I just was like,
Oh.
"Well, sir, I was thinking," and that is as far as I got in my sentence because he just cut me off and was like, "No one's going to watch a movie with a protagonist that they wouldn't want to spend time with." And I remember I just felt my brain melt out of my asshole as I thought of like 90,000 things I really enjoyed with characters I
Right.
never want to be in a room with.
Right. Oh my
And so
god.
I just think about like luckily I was like, this is dumb, and like he kind of lost me from the jump on that course. But I worry sometimes about like the damage that we can do when we think that our tastes are empirical truths and we
Oh
prescriptively
yeah.
like hit young people over the head with it. I'm glad. Like, do you feel you carried any dents from being whacked over the head with stuff like that, or did you kind of were able to roll and dodge?
I think I've gotten over the dents by this point in my life. There were a few that stuck with me for a while, but I think
Oh yeah.
I'm mostly healed from
Well,
10
I'm
years
glad you
after.
are.
after.
I'm glad you are. If you don't mind sharing, like, what was maybe something that you had to kind of like go, actually, this is a bad thing that was, gifted to me by someone. Like, what was maybe like a hang up with your art that you had to get over that been stuck on you by a
There's I remember being told, um, during my senior review, which was like, in order to get your final grade, in order to get your diploma, you had to go in front of a panel of instructors who may not entirely have been all of your instructors. Like, it was just a panel put together of the illustration staff. And I remember someone who I had never had as a teacher told me, you can't just keep putting antlers on everything. Because at the time I was drawing a lot of, like, I don't know, deer-related stuff, right? And
the teacher's like, weird horror magazines are going to want to hire you, but you got to stop it with the antlers and everything.
Right. Like, at the time, it was like, well, okay. And I didn't entirely take it to heart, but also at the same time, like, I do my everyday original pieces that I do. The whole kind of theme of those is partially fueled by spite against that one teacher. It's just kind of like, I'm gonna paint what I want, and no one can tell me otherwise.
God, wasn't there like a really popular comic in recent years that got adapted for at least 2 seasons on Netflix about a kid with antlers?
Oh my God, probably. I feel like I've seen that come across.
If anybody in the chat knows that, please release me from my pain here. I know it exists. I just can't remember the name. But anyway, whatever. Yeah. So I mean, there you go. There's your antlers.
By the way, I see in chat that someone has mentioned a few of the really amazing Tolkien artists, and Alan Lee and John Howe were huge inspirations, especially because, like, as soon as the live action trilogy started to come out, I devoured those art of books that have all the concept art that Alan Lee and John Howe did for the movies. I just ate those up. Like, they're still one of my favorite reference books. It's good stuff.
Nice. Another artist I'm seeing mentioned in the chat here, just out of curiosity, because there is definitely, Tolkien and SNS crossover here. Jeffrey Catherine Jones.
Oh yeah.
You ever into her stuff or nah?
Oh yeah. Later, I came to it later. I came to it after I had been to, I think it was the second IlluxCon that I went to, which is a very small fantasy and sci-fi, like, art convention that usually happens in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And they had a piece of her work, like, on display as part of, like, some collection, and, like, it was absolutely stunning.
Oh, that's nice. God, yeah. No, I'm also a big fan. I'll say that. I can't say super fan in the sense that I can't rattle off a bunch of names of pieces, but I always appreciate her work when I see it. And I was almost a little envious when the folk over at Weird Punk Books licensed the Jeffrey Catherine Jones piece on the cover of their anthology, Profane Altars, and I was like, damn, I should have,
I think
it's too late. There's other pieces of work by her.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah. Also, suggestion in the chat, maybe I was thinking of Horns by Joe Hill. I feel like it wasn't by Joe Hill, though. Did that get too sensitive TV? Anyway, whatever. I'll have to look it up later.
That was the one that I think got a movie adaptation with Daniel Radcliffe, right? Is that the one?
Oh yeah, fair. So I mean, there you go. People
that was fun. I think I lost you for a second there.
Yeah, so that was a thing. That was obviously a thing. I was definitely, but doing anything. We're back. All right, okay. Jeff Lee, I think is the name of the creator. I mean, it's even a similarly named person. Anyway, not the point. Okay, so we've talked a bit about, like, early inspirations and, like, teachers leaving dents in people's creativity. But, like, what was maybe moving past childhood and stuff, like, what was someone who gave you, like, really galvanizing advice or encouragement that made you think, like, yeah, I want to try and do this for a living? What was like a big positive, wind beneath your wings situation?
Honestly, like, like, I can kind of track back my having enough confidence in myself to continue to freelance full time to honestly, Dave Ring of Neon Hemlock. He contacted me in the fall of 2020 after I had been laid off from my day job because of COVID and had been on unemployment for a few months and was trying to just survive off of that and commissions. He contacted me about doing a cover for their digital magazine, Baffling Magazine. Yeah, and that was kind of like it felt like a leap of faith because at the time I did not really have much professional work, really.
Right.
I was mostly doing like private commissions and stuff, and that kind of got me thinking, and being able to continue working with him and kind of get a nice portfolio together really just it kept me going, and it gave me proof to myself that I could actually have a go at this, because I didn't actually anticipate being able to freelance full time and actually pay my bills and stuff for many years.
Yeah. I mean, that's awesome. That's really awesome. And we're fans of Dave Ring here. We've had him on a live stream for the magazine earlier this year, chatting about SMS and all that stuff, which is funny because then, you've got to do at least 2 SMS covers this year, right? Because you did
it's crazy.
Shasher the Sun, a queer SMS anthology, I believe is the subtitle.
Yes.
Was crowdfunded early this year and will come out, I want to say, February, something early next year.
I think spring.
Google. Yeah. Oh, spring. Okay, pardon me. Okay.
Yeah, spring 2026, I think.
Okay. We'll go with that then. But I mean, folks, whatever Neon Hemlock says is correct. If it's different than what I'm saying, probably you should trust the actual publisher more. Also, finally, the answer to my itch there, and then we'll come right back to what we were saying. Sweet Tooth on Netflix. That's what I was trying to remember. Thank you.
Not heard of that one.
Yeah. Right. No, I know it was definitely a popular comic, and then 2 seasons at least last I saw. But anyhow, I mean, David Neil Hemlock and all that stuff. That's fantastic, and that also means wow, okay, because I hit you up for the magazine like June 2022, so you were still kind of like early in the game at that point. But here you are, 2025, still going strong, I hope. And that's fantastic.
And I gotta give thanks to you too, because doing the interior for the first story that I illustrated for what was it? This that sort of got me familiar and interested in the sword and sorcery genre, which I wouldn't have been able to do that cover for Dave. Or feel comfortable and confident in my ability to do that cover for Dave if I hadn't been working with you. So it's really cool how it all kind of just feeds back into itself.
Well, the whole ripple effect of these things. I mean, I know obviously it's easy for me. That's really cool because it's like flattering to me. But I mean, what's fun, Matt? You and June both, I guess, and everybody who got to enjoy your work later as a result, all benefited from me getting a cold, because what happened was, I'll tell us real quick in case anybody watching has heard it before. June tells it well from her point of view on her blog, by the way, worth looking up. Bread Sonia, I believe, is the URL. But anyway, from my POV, what happened was I felt we were done in the sense of we knew all the content for the 2 issues. It was our first time doing like more than 1 issue and doing them professionally printed. First time crowdfunding. It was all very intimidating, and but I'm lucky. I've worked with very good people that were helping me keep the ship going. And I was like, all right, whatever. We're just copy editing. We're with the interior's done. And then one day I got sick, and I just was like so nailed. All I could do was just like lay in bed and just kind of like read. And so I was like, well, I can't do anything much with my giant tower of to-dos. I guess I'll just go on Discord, go to the Nest server, like I do. And I saw June was looking for a beta reader for something. And I'd seen June talking about her writing before. I was kind of interested. So I said, you know what? I literally all I can do is read. Anything more than that is too hard for my little brain right now. So sure, send it over. And then I read the story. I was blown away, and very quickly it was like, I don't know if I can actually take it this year or next year because we're so late in the production. Da, 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 da. And then I ran off, and I think it was like 24 hours later or something. I managed to figure out how to just barely squeeze June's story in there. And scrape a few extra bucks out of the budget to be able to then hire an artist, which was you. And so then we got you both in the magazine, and I was really happy, and you've both been in it every year since. So hooray for boogers, I guess.
All thanks to that cold. That's awesome.
There's like some guy on the subway who sneezed on the back of my neck, has no idea what he said. Oh man, I love it. I love. I don't know about you. I love behind the scenes like process stories. I'm always the guy who checks out the DVD extras, and like I love reading like editor and publisher, stuff like the back matter of books. Like yeah. So I love that we kind of pieced together this little story just now. Oh man, perfection. So wow, this is coming together real nice. I love you definitely work at a good clip. We had just pencils and a bit of green when we started. So I mean, there's a thing because like everybody works at different speeds, and there's no right speed. But yeah, how would you say? Would you say you work quickly, and whatever speed you think you work at, would you say that's the speed you like?
I do think I work quickly. I mean, I finished that the cover for this one with what that was like a month turnaround time, I think, which is I knew I would do it, but I didn't know that I could necessarily.
I'm sorry. I hadn't
Oh no, it wasn't stress. It was more like determination. Like, yeah, okay. I can do this. I just and I think that there are benefits and downfalls to a quick turnaround time. The benefit is I don't get to sit with something and stew over it and second guess myself. And a little bit of the downfall is, there's always something that I see that I would like to, or feel like I could do differently or better with a little bit more time. But like, I don't know, I like working at a quick pace. I love a tight turnaround. It kind of energizes me. And I always have like more projects than I probably should going on at a time.
I mean, yeah, it's most of us.
But like, it keeps me going. I really enjoy it. And I think that might be part of why I really do like freelancing, is because it's like, yeah, I gotta keep many pots on the stove in order to feel secure, but that's what I like doing anyway.
Yeah, you have to be down with multitasking.
Oh
if
yeah,
you want to freelance for sure, or publish. Believe me, I know. But yeah, though it's and in terms of like being able to actually like physically like do the work quickly, like some of that is your preference, it sounds, but also like is that maybe I don't know, like guys, I'm not a visual artist in terms of like I think I have a good taste. I think I'm good at art direction, but like I can't draw very well, just not my skill set. Not where I put my time. So I don't know if this is how dumb a question this is, pardon me if it is, but like do you find like your choice of medium, like does watercolor allow you to work more quickly than acrylic? Like is that how it goes, or
I from the times that I've dabbled in acrylic, I feel like I could probably work as quickly in acrylic. I'm not like as comfortable, but if I became comfortable with it, I think I could probably work at a similar speed.
Is it more technique than medium, or
yeah?
What speed do you think?
It's a really good question. I don't know, because there are actually aspects of watercolor that I have had to slow down with in recent years as I feel like I've kind of come to master it a bit more. I've realized that I do have to slow down in certain areas, because what I used to do is I used to sit down and I used to paint and I used to let everything get kind of muddy. And so like it was kind of about learning where to slow down and then how much quicker that can make the whole thing go because I've made more intentional decisions. So I think that a lot of it can be just learning when to slow down so that the rest of the process is super streamlined. Because with the right amount of planning and everything, it can go pretty quickly.
See, I find that fascinating. In a different context, I would have said something similar about writing. That's really interesting to hear you say, because there are points where you have to like allocate, like you only have so much time in total, right, to work on any given thing, unless it's a personal project you can drag out for years, but you probably shouldn't do that. And so it's like you have to really decide, well, where do I speed up, and I just kind of follow my outline or my pre-planning, and just get through the scene or get through this part of the person's face or whatever you're working on, and where's the parts where I gotta slow down and really go over my work carefully here, like where do I allocate the more energy, where do I allocate more time, less time. I don't know, I think it's an interesting skill that you have to figure out for your art.
I think it's pretty neat too, because I think that it requires a certain level of like self-awareness and like self-knowledge, because like I wouldn't have had the inclination to make that kind of decision or to think about that sort of thing 10 years ago when I was still like learning the craft and learning how to be a professional artist and everything. Like it's really cool to sort of learn how I work and what ways I best work, and like learn what my bad habits are so that I know how to mitigate them. But also, like for instance, like with this, I was like, okay, I don't want to do a lot of thinking while I'm trying to talk for a live stream audience. So what can I do to make this as streamlined as possible? Okay, I'll sketch it first, so I don't have to think of what to draw on stream. And then I have a little digital color study just loosely roughed in that I'm kind of following for the colors. So it's like, yeah, I knew that if I had to pick the colors on stream, it would probably be a mess right now.
Right.
But with a little bit of planning, it's going pretty well.
Cool. Well, there's an aspect of your art that you reminded me of by mentioning Dave earlier. Because spoiler, Dave and I have talked about you.
Oh God!
No, I think I just showed him like an early version of the cover, and he showed me something you were doing, and like we were like, "Isn't he great?" So like, don't worry. I wouldn't mention it was anything else. We both were just like, "Oh, I love working with Matt. Yeah, me too." That's our voice apparently, but something that came up in that conversation that then I thought of when you mentioned Dave now, it makes you stand out. And this is not a complaint to any artists who I've worked with who are not Matt, like don't worry. But something really cool you do, Matt, that stands out in the process of going back and forth in art direction, is you really like options. I do not have any other artist who gives me nearly as many options as you do. You average about 2 to 3 times as many.
Oh my God!
and like it's useful. Like I'm not complaining. It's useful. But it's interesting that like you're the only artist I work with who does it to like that degree by far. And so I wonder, is that something like, why do you do that? That's the last question. I'm just interested in how you're thinking. Is it that you like to have a lot of options, or is it that you?
It's because sometimes I don't know what I want a piece to look like until I see one that strikes me, and sometimes I don't see the one. Sometimes I've got like 5 different possibilities of what the finish could look like until I have someone tell me, please do this one. Because like I can see it working out so many different ways. I'm like, I gotta put this decision in someone else's hands.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Right,
so
right.
it's like that's I mean, yeah, that's part of why I like working for clients so much, is because someone else can make the decisions and I can just have fun painting.
Well, there you go. I mean, you've turned that into a strength, because both Dave and I were like, it's awesome. Like, You like that?
Well, I'm so glad that,
So there you
that it's
go.
awesome, not like overwhelming or something.
No,
Because
no. I
really,
mean, I
it's
guess
just my
maybe
own indecision.
if it was like even more, if it was like, I don't know, 5 times as many, then maybe I would start to be like, holy shit. But like, no, it's pleasing, and
Aw.
I enjoyed it with this cover. I enjoyed it with your new illustrations that people can see in, I want to say, New Age Sword and Sorcery issue 6, for a story by
Oh
Alec
yeah.
Alec Blackbeth Worley. That's coming up. I showed you preview pictures from our proofs of the by you, I mean
Yeah.
Matt. Sorry, folks, you haven't seen this yet. Of how they came out. Matt did a pair of beautiful 2-page spreads with like space for text to be interwoven, which is always fun. Anyway, you'll see it if you get Sword and Sorcery issue 6, which is one of as a package with 5 and 7, an add-on for this very crowdfund. It's 7:56, so we're coming
Oh
close
my
to the
God.
hour.
Already?
Yeah, yeah, no,
Oh wow.
we're a couple of dorks chatting about our passions. Of course, it's gonna go quickly, right?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have a real quick peek on my phone. Sorry, folks, I'm gonna be that guy, because I just want to see how we're doing. Um, how the hour has benefited us. And dang, okay, 103 backers for $6,379. That's not too shabby. I won't complain about
No.
that. And I think my partner, who always gets more excited about the numbers even than I can somehow manage to be, is like, yeah, okay. I think we're at 41% funded, which makes sense.
Wow.
Let me do a quick calculation. Sorry, folks. I'm glad we have the drawing, so you can also enjoy that instead of my friggin' bald head while I do math. Captivating television, that is not. So 6. Let me see here. Divided into the min fund. Yeah, we're at like 42% funded. That's all right for the first 4
Pretty
hours.
good.
I'm okay with that for 4 hours. That's pretty okay. All right, cool. So, I mean, dang. All right. Well, I mean, if you're watching this right now and you've backed it, or thank you very much. If you've told people about the crowdfund, thank you very much. And if you're like, maybe I'll back it, well, thank you for considering, and I hope you do. So I think if we can close this with maybe one last question. Let's get a little more drawing in, because I certainly would like to see a little more. But then
I
we'll
actually
wrap it up. Oh, sorry.
I wanted to say, while we're on the top, where we were talking about options and stuff, I have some of the thumbnails for the cover here, and it's like, yeah,
Awesome.
the options that I showed you, they weren't even all the ones that I sketched out. They were just the ones that I narrowed down.
Oh,
So,
yeah, I don't recognize some of these.
yeah, definitely
Amazing.
just part of
Do
the
you have any other
process.
materials you just want to flash at people, like related to the cover's
Yeah,
production? Because
let's see
it's
here.
all good.
Here's my little palette exploration that I did for the cover, picking out what pigments I wanted to use.
So cool.
Here's the
Damn.
rough drawing,
Right
and I have
on.
my little notes on the side there.
Right.
Here's the.
I think the Radiohead person wasn't there yet. In this version, yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I didn't have a clear description on them yet at the time. So yeah,
okay.
So there's the pencils. Here, this is still stapled to one of my boards. This is I print out the pencil lines and on watercolor paper, and then I start painting. But this one, I forgot to change the color of the lines with these guys. And then I decided I didn't really like the sky wash, so I reprinted it out and I started over. And then here's the actual finished cover.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah,
Oh, I mean, I've seen it, but you know what I mean.
yeah.
Like, it's so fun to see the process stuff. Man, that was wonderful. Thank you. I should have thought to ask for that like at the start of the live stream, but whatever. It's a flourish and a finish. I think the last thing I'll ask you, to wrap up the stream for tonight, because it is an hour now. We've talked about like childhood. We've talked about like nostalgia for before you were born, even. We've talked about being kind of your 20s in school and all the stuff that could kind of happen there. And even just a few years ago with moving to freelance and like Dave and Mai, I guess, like helping get that going. What would you really like to do? Do you have any like art goals, like hashtag art goals for the
Hmm.
future? Is there any particular medium you'd like to do, subject matter, a kind of project? Would you really love to do, I don't know, storyboards for animation? Would you really like to make a statue out of gold? I don't know. What's kind of like burbling in your sense of the horizon that
So
you'd like to see
my
there?
like ideal, like my a dream project, which I get a little bit by illustrating uh, the Neon Hamlet anthologies, but my dream project is a Folio Society style, completely illustrated book where I get to do everything: cover, interiors, little incidental, little fiddly bits to go in between paragraphs, chapter headers, drop caps, everything. I would love to one day have a project like that where like the whole book design can basically be under my purview. Uh,
Well,
so
I'll keep that in mind. We'll
oh,
see what the
sweet,
future
yeah,
holds.
okay.
Although and now I'm going to tell you something that maybe you already know this, but it's one of those things that's so fun. I gotta share. So that little symbol, maybe sometimes it's an asterisk, sometimes it's a drawing, whatever the heck it is. What
Hmm.
people you will put as like a separator of sections
Yeah.
on a page. Those are called a dingus.
Oh my God, really?
I kid you not. Google it. I'm not lying.
Wow,
And in this
that's
editorial,
amazing.
we have a private channel just called Editorial, right, for the magazine and
Yeah.
other things. We sometimes will be like, oh yeah, we got to get some real good dingy in there, trying to like pluralize it.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Or I'll be going through the proofs and I'll just take a photo because we use our Battle Axe logo in the magazine, and
Yeah,
I'll just be like, check out this wicked dingus, like idiots, but it's
perfect.
fun to say.
Thank goodness. Well, I'm going to take that home or back to my housemates and
Yeah.
share that little tidbit because that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I carry it close to my heart. Okay, so I mean, I imagine you might want to work on it more, but this has made great progress and looks really wonderful
Thanks.
in the hour we've chatted. Just for fun, do you want to maybe pause and like hold it closer to the camera so people get like one
Yeah,
last
sure.
like sort of, if that's okay. I don't know if you've secured it to the table or
Let's see here.
let's get the camera so to focus. And yeah, oh man, yeah, the great detail in the color of the
You know what?
hair.
I'll get a scan of it and I'll send it over to you, and you can like put it on the
Yeah, I'll put it
page
on socials and stuff.
once it's
I'll put it an
done.
update on
Yeah.
the crowdfund. Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be awesome. Yeah, all right. Well, oh shoot, I know I made you ruin the autofocus. Oh
Oh
well.
God.
That's me. I
Well,
like to do the opposite of facilitating art. Uh, sabotage, I guess. All right. Well,
no.
this has been a lovely chat. Matt, thanks so much for making time. Thanks so much for doing this drawing and chatting with us. Oh, there we go. Showing off those materials, letting us get to know you better in your process. And of course, for doing the cover for The Barbarian It Dreams In by Steve Hugh Westenra. I really hope I'm feeling good about the crowdfund. And I think if things go swimmingly, two of the four novellas are actually, as I mentioned earlier, kind of like standalone sequels. We're trying to get some series going here. Nice episodic series, novella size. I think it's perfect for the genre for sword and sorcery. And so, if this first one, is funded, which is, I'm knock on wood, I'm feeling good going by our first 4 hours here. Then maybe next year we'll do another one, and we'll get another cover from Matt. So there's some motivation, folks. If you want to see more cover work by Matt for this series, tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell your friends to lovers, tell your frenemies, tell everybody about this here crowdfund. All right. Yeah, and thank you, Javier. Yeah, we've really had a good time, and I should probably end the stream. Otherwise, it will not ever end. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so